Well, warmer weather is right around the corner, Kyle promises.
Yes, absolutely.
And that has many of us thinking about improvements to the outside of our homes.
That's right. And if you're considering a new deck or fence, Lovewell can help with that. So what can you expect when installing a new fence for your home? Here with some answers is Josh Kotecki from Lovewell Fence. Josh, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
I've already been picking his brain.
You have, and of course, you know, this is the time of year where we're starting to think of some of those home improvements, especially outside. So talk about the process of getting a new fence or a new deck. Where should we start?
Sure, and we're very much excited for the weather to finally take a turn. So with this natural time of season, people start to migrate outside. This is when the wheels really get spinning in terms of outdoor space, whether it was you had your dog on maybe a leash all winter and now you've rethought that entire process and you want a fence, you want an enclosure. So if you are interested in the fencing world, the first and main thing that I would say is call. Call because excitement is now building. We're starting to gather appointments and things are booking up relatively quickly. Correct. So that is the first place to start. At that point, what we'll have our office staff do is reach out and set up a formal appointment with one of our salespeople, and we will gladly come out, walk you through the entire process, whether it was through project photos or you know, we have specific samples that we can show and talk through your individual space. So that's a really informative process. It's more of a consultation than it is anything other than we're going to talk specifically about your space, and eventually we'll get you a price.
Yeah, that's really helpful that you can, you know, visit and talk people through it and, you know, figure out what their needs are in their property. And that's essentially what we were just doing before we started the show today. I'm sorry.
That was free.
Tons of
that was free.
I try. Tons of questions. Should have brought a photo. No, so tell us a little bit about the different materials that are available. I was surprised when I went on the Lovewell website. There's a lot there.
There sure is. We have a vast array of different styles, so it can be overwhelming if you were to go on there just blindly, but I think the main thing our sales staff does incredibly well is that we talk about the client's needs and their goals and their objectives. So do you have dogs? Do you have children? Are you trying to maybe garner a little bit more privacy than what you had previously? So to answer the question about styles, ornamental fence, we have chain link fence, we have wood privacy fence, we of course have vinyl fence, and we have a variety of styles within that vinyl fence. So we do a good job of covering all bases, but you know, and I'm sure we can come up with something that meets everyone's needs. So once we get to that point, basically it's just laying that fence out and then you know, gathering a price for that particular style. But our sales staff will work with you in seeing what best fits your goals. Yeah,
because we're seeing all those images on the screen just now, and it definitely varies. Like you can tell when people definitely want to hire like a privacy fence, you can't see anything through it. Some people it does feel more decorative, like you still want folks to drive by or walk by and see your yard and see your landscaping, but you still need the fence in place. So it's good that you can do all of that. And another thing too is the actual material. I heard you mention vinyl a couple of times, because there are different you know, treatments and things that you may have to look out for in the future if you decide to go like wood route or like wrought iron or things like that. So those all vary.
Thank you for mentioning. So where we specialize is we're going to go the low maintenance aspect and the low maintenance route. We want to work with premium products that are not going to have you outside putting you to work, but rather enjoying the space. So whether it is the aluminum side of things, whether it's a low maintenance chain link, or whether it is the vinyl, we have products that really at the end of the day are very low maintenance, maybe require a wash, or maybe a natural rain will do the trick. So yeah, we want to keep low maintenance on the forefront because we want you enjoying that space.
So yeah, it's much more than just saying I want a fence, let's just get it done. I mean, like you said, the style's important, the type of material is important. So say you have this idea in mind of what you want to do, you can get an instant estimate on your website, right?
We absolutely can. So another great space is the website of working through the styles, but it has a really neat feature. You can go online. You can basically draw your fence on your property, an overlay if you will, and it basically gathers linear feet, and you can plug in gates and plug in different styles, and it will auto-calculate a price.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So that's obviously a great starting point from a budgetary standpoint.
Sure.
And from there, that can get submitted directly to us. And what we would do is reach out, or you can obviously reach out to us. And then we get a sales professional there, verify everything, confirm everything, and that process is very much ongoing at that point.
That's a great resource to have if you really, like me, I'll admit, like if you really have no idea, like what, you know, what the cost of something like this would be, at least it gives you a start, like a jumping off point, so that way when you have that consultation, you're not completely either shocked or, well, you're not going into it completely blind. So, and then is this a virtual fence designer?
Yeah, I mean,
that's cool.
Technology is quite a thing. So what you're seeing here is this is an app, and this is a company we were working with, basically a startup company. And essentially what this would apply to is you're meeting with one of our salespeople, and they can virtually bring in the fence and the various styles. So you're seeing here the ornamental component. I believe later it changes to a vinyl. So if you're really torn on what style works in my yard, how will it look, this is a great visual cue and a tool that we could implement.
You can really picture it with something like this. That's amazing. And I know you said, you know, you're already booking up with appointments. I mean, Lovewell, you know, it's a name we hear here in the Quad Cities all the time. We see Lovewell fences everywhere. So with that aside, you know, as far as like the day of breaking ground, with that aside, roughly how long does it take to install a fence?
There's of course some variables that apply to that. So let's say, for example, you have old wood fence or old chain link that needs to be removed. That plays a factor into the process. But I would say most times, and this may be shocking, is one-day installs. So many of those variables come into play here, but I can't tell you how many times we've had clients that have left for work in the morning
and come home.
They have come home to a fully enclosed fenced yard, and they are just blown away. The results speak for themselves.
And what he's using right there, like, so those posts, you brought that, and I would hate to not reference before we wrap up here today, that you brought this with you. So that's really what keeps the fence in place. We're talking a lot about severe weather here today, and so that's huge that you guys are able to use, you know, instruments like this.
So this is our drive set system. Essentially, all of our styles of fence have some kind of this drive set system. So this happens to be the vinyl example I brought. So essentially what we're looking at is this is the hidden components or the structural to the fence. Once this pipe gets driven, basically what we would do is sleeve the vinyl and build the fence accordingly. So you don't necessarily see this, but this is obviously a huge part of the structural integrity of the fence.
Interesting.
And it requires a no-dig system, which it maintains our yards. We don't ruin yards. We don't have tons and tons of dirt. And essentially when we walk away, it's a very finished, clean looking product.
Very nice. Awesome. Well, Lovewell Fence and Deck has a location in Davenport. You can call the number on your screen or visit them on the web at lovewellfence.com. You can get your consultation scheduled that way. Josh, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you, both of you.
Thank you.
Good to have you here today. Well,